Emma Doyle wasn't popular in the traditional sense. She didn't post selfies or morning coffee shots, and she rarely replied to comments unless she knew the person offline. Her social media presence was curated more for clients than for friends, a portfolio of clean design grids, product mock-ups, muted tones. She liked keeping her life quiet. That's why the first message unsettled her. It came at 3:14 a.m. on a random Tuesday. Unknown user 040. You looked stressed today. Maybe don't go out alone at night. Emma sat up in bed, blinking at the glowing message on her phone screen. The username didn't match any client, friend, or follower she recognized. It wasn't connected to a profile picture, just a gray silhouette. Her stomach tightened. She tapped to block the account and locked her phone. She figured it was some idiot trying to scare her. Maybe someone from uni being weird, or a bot fishing for a response. But then came the second message. Not on the same platform. Not even on the same app. This time, her email pinged. Subject: Nice choice at the cafe. Black coffee, no sugar. Attached was a photo, low quality, slightly blurry. Emma stared at it in disbelief. It was her, taken from inside the small corner cafe near her apartment. She was sitting by the window, head tilted down over her sketchpad, earbuds in, completely unaware of the camera. The angle suggested it had been taken from just outside the glass, maybe even from a car. She felt her throat tighten. Her hand trembled as she reached for her laptop. First, she checked her social feeds. Nothing was publicly shared. No location tags. No selfies that day. She'd met no one. She hadn't even texted anyone about going out. She'd gone to the cafe alone to sketch and unwind. That meant someone had followed her, had watched her long enough to know her drink order, her routines. She called her best friend Riley, but it went to voicemail. The third message came 30 minutes later. This time, her printer, which she hadn't touched in days, suddenly buzzed to life. Emma stared at it from across the room, frozen. The tray pushed out a single sheet of paper. On it, another image. This one from inside her apartment. Her bedroom. From the perspective of her laptop webcam. She lunged at the device and slammed it shut, nearly knocking over her lamp. Her heart was pounding so loud she thought she'd throw up. The fourth message came via SMS. Don't bother hiding. I'm already in. She dropped the phone like it had burned her. Tears welled in her eyes. Her hands shook uncontrollably now as she yanked the covers off her bed, checking for any strange devices. She opened every drawer, every closet. Nothing seemed out of place, but how would she even know what to look for? Finally, breath catching in her throat, she called the police. "Ma'am, do you feel you're in physical danger right now?" the operator asked after she explained everything, trying to stay calm. "I don't know," Emma whispered, "but someone hacked me. Someone is watching me. And they're not just online. Stay on the line. I'm dispatching a unit to your address. Can you confirm your location?" She gave it, trying to steady her voice. Tears were streaking down her cheeks. After she hung up, she unplugged her router, shut off every device, and curled up on the floor beside her bed, clutching a heavy flashlight. Outside, the wind howled through the trees, the only sound in a neighborhood that suddenly felt unfamiliar. Violated. 20 minutes later, red and blue lights filled her living room wall. But the sense of safety didn't return. Not completely. She knew. Whoever had done this wasn't finished yet. Emma sat on the living room couch, knees drawn to her chest, as two officers walked around her apartment, asking quiet questions and jotting notes. Officer Ramirez crouched by the printer while his partner, a taller, older man named Nolan, inspected her laptop. "Did you recently install any new programs?" Nolan asked. Emma shook her head. "No. I only use Adobe stuff and my freelance tools. Any emails with attachments from clients you don't know personally?" Emma hesitated. There had been one, a week ago. A potential logo commission from someone claiming to be starting a non-profit. The file had been a PDF brief, password protected. Nothing weird had happened at the time, but she swallowed. "Yeah, maybe one. I didn't think anything of it." "That might be how they got in," Nolan said. "Could have installed a remote access Trojan. It's called a rat. Gives them full control. Files, microphone, webcam." Ramirez looked up from the printer. "We've seen this before. Sick bastard probably used a spoofed email and tricked her into running the payload." Emma's stomach churned. "So he's watching me? Through my webcam?" "It's possible," Ramirez said. "But you did the right thing calling us early. I already feel like it's too late." They left with her laptop and printer, promising to escalate the case to their cyber unit. In the meantime, she was advised to stay offline and check into a friend's place if possible. But Emma didn't want to be someone else's burden. Not when she didn't even understand what was happening to her. The next day, she went to the Apple Store and bought a brand new phone and laptop. She used gift cards and paid in cash, just in case. She didn't download anything unnecessary. No social media. No old backups. Everything was clean. Or so she thought. That night, in her new Gmail account, an address she hadn't given to anyone, she received a message. Subject: "You're cute when you panic." The body of the email was a single sentence. "Did you really think I wouldn't know where you went?" Emma froze. The room seemed to close in around her, the quiet hum of her fridge now unbearable. She hadn't even connected the new laptop to her old accounts. How had he found her again? The fear wasn't just about surveillance anymore. It was the sense that this person knew her. Her patterns. Her vulnerabilities. She called Riley. This time, she picked up. "Jesus, Em. I've been trying to reach you for days. Are you okay?" Emma broke down. She told her everything, from the first message to the photos, to the email just now. There was silence on the other end. "Okay," Riley finally said, voice low. "Come stay with me. My building has security cameras, a doorman. You're not staying alone again." Emma packed fast, stuffing clothes and sketchbooks into her duffel. But as she reached the door, her new phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Don't make me follow you again." She didn't wait. She grabbed her keys and ran to the elevator, heart racing. At Riley's apartment, they pushed a dresser in front of the door and curled up on the couch with a baseball bat between them. Emma stared at the window, half expecting to see a face in the dark. "You should go to the FBI," Riley whispered. "This is more than local cops can handle." Emma nodded, but inside she felt a growing dread. What if even they couldn't help her? What if she was already too deep in it? She closed her eyes, but sleep stayed far away. Somewhere in the night, her new phone vibrated softly under the pillow. Another message. "No sender name. Your friend snores when she's scared." By morning, Emma's eyes were red, her body trembling with exhaustion. She hadn't slept. Not after the last message. Riley had snored quietly beside her for hours, unaware that someone, possibly outside the apartment, had been watching or listening. Emma didn't wake her. Instead, she took her phone into the bathroom, locked the door, and opened the anonymous message again. "Your friend snores when she's scared." The words sat there like rot in her stomach. Whoever this was, they weren't bluffing. She opened her camera app and waved it across the bathroom light, the sink, the ceiling corners, remembering stories she'd read about microcameras hidden in vents. Nothing obvious. She opened the front camera and stared at herself. Unwashed hair, dark circles, skin pale. She hardly recognized the girl in the reflection. She deleted the message. Then she took Riley's advice and contacted the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. The online form asked for details: dates, times, file names, links. Emma filled it out as best she could, attaching screenshots and describing everything. It didn't feel like enough. Then, almost impulsively, she emailed Detective Hall from the local precinct. She hadn't spoken to him since his team took her devices. Within hours, he called her back. "Emma, I've got good news and bad," Hall said over the phone. "Our cyber division isolated the payload embedded in that PDF you mentioned. The good news is we've confirmed it's a known RAT, one that gives total system access. Not sophisticated, but hard to trace." "What's the bad news?" she asked. Hall sighed. He covered his tracks well. VPN layers, signal bounces, dark web servers. But there's one possible lead. He got cocky. Emma leaned forward. "How?" "Your friend Riley. He used a fake email to contact her last night, pretending to be you. Told her to meet up at a coffee shop today. Our guys intercepted the message and traced the IP. It pinged from a neighborhood 10 minutes from you." Emma's stomach dropped. "He's close." "Possibly. It's a residential IP that's popped up before in stalking complaints. We're building a case. But we need more. We need him to screw up." Emma hesitated, then said, "What if I bait him?" There was silence on the line. Then Hall said, "We were hoping you'd be willing to help. With supervision." That afternoon, Emma, Riley, and 2 detectives sat in a dimly lit conference room at the station. Tara Wu, a cyber investigator with a sharp barb and a sharper tongue, laid out the plan. "You email him using your clean laptop. Keep it casual. Make it sound like you're tired of hiding, that you're ready to talk, alone. Offer to meet him somewhere public but contained. A park or a storage lot. Somewhere we can control." Emma's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Her heart pounded. But the anger had finally started to overtake the fear. She typed, "You win. Let's meet. I need to understand why you're doing this. I'll come alone." They chose a dead-end alley near the shipping yards, a place with limited exits and plenty of surveillance. Emma waited in an unmarked van while the agents disguised themselves as joggers, maintenance crew, and homeless campers. At 5:17 p.m., he showed up. Skinny, hoodie, backpack slung over one shoulder. He looked younger than Emma expected, early 20s maybe. Twitchy eyes, biting his lip. Not the monster she'd imagined. He kept checking his phone, pacing. Then, takedown. 2 plainclothes officers grabbed him from behind and slammed him to the ground. He screamed, tried to run, but it was over in seconds. They zip-tied his hands and dragged him to the van. Tara leaned in toward the window and looked at Emma. "We got him." They booked him under the name Elliot Marcus Greaves, age 24, dropped out of a cybersecurity program 2 years prior. No job. Lived with his aunt in a cluttered 2-bedroom flat where the FBI recovered multiple hard drives, phones, and a server tucked into a gutted mini-fridge. Emma didn't get to see him during the arrest. But Tara showed her a photo the next day. His eyes were bloodshot, lips twisted in a sneer. He looked completely ordinary. "You weren't his only target," Tara said quietly. "But you were the first to report it early and stick with the case. That saved other people. He had passwords, photos, recordings. They'd found rootkits buried in other victims' devices, girls who hadn't known anyone was watching them for months." Emma didn't feel victorious. She felt violated, still, hollowed out. The media caught wind of the arrest. A few local outlets ran headlines. "Digital predator caught after brave student outsmarts hacker. Cyberstalking nightmare ends in takedown." Emma didn't give interviews. She didn't want to be the face of anything. She just wanted her life back. It didn't come quickly. Even with new passwords, new devices, and new habits, she'd freeze every time her phone buzzed. Her laptop stayed closed unless she needed it. She covered her webcams with tape. She no longer sat near cafe windows. She couldn't bear the reflection. Riley was supportive, always nearby. They'd been friends since high school, but this had made them closer in a different way, not with light-hearted comfort, but with a shared trauma neither of them fully understood. "I don't trust anything anymore," Emma admitted one night. "Not screens. Not locks. Not people." "You'll heal," Riley said. "But yeah, it's okay not to trust right now." She took time off university. Started seeing a therapist. Slowly, she built routines again. Daily walks, sketching with pen and paper, handwriting in a notebook instead of typing. She met with a support group once a week. Most were women. Some had stories like hers. Some worse. A few weeks later, Detective Hall called her one last time. "He took a plea deal," he said. 6 years minimum, no early parole. Probation restrictions after release. Internet access monitored. Emma was quiet. "I just thought you'd want to know," Hall added. "He'll be locked up for a while. You did something most people don't have the guts to do." She thanked him. It didn't feel like closure, exactly, but it felt like a pin in the nightmare. Still, it wasn't over. Not really. Because a month later, just as she was starting to breathe again, Emma received a letter in the mail. Not digital. Not typed. Handwritten. There was no return address. Postmarked 2 towns over. Inside was a single piece of paper. No threats. No photos. Just a line written in careful, neat script. "You deleted the account. Not the idea." Emma sat on her porch for a long time afterward, the wind cold against her back. She read the letter again. Then again. Was it him? Was it someone inspired by him? Was it just a sick joke? She didn't know. She turned the letter in to the police. They took it seriously, opened a new report, rechecked her online activity. Nothing new was found. But that night, when Emma went to her desk to sketch, she paused. Her laptop, brand new, untouched for days, was open. The screen lit. It showed the login screen. She hadn't opened it. She told herself it was an update, a system reset. She told herself the lid must have been slightly ajar. She told herself she was safe now. Then she reached for the roll of tape and quietly, carefully, covered the webcam.